I am a teacher. They say it takes a village, but sometimes it takes just one. One mountain of ungraded tests, one strong voice to silence excuses, one tired soul fueled by caffeine, armed with dry erase markers, and a desk full of snacks. I am a teacher, born with a titanium bladder and a tender heart. A whisper like a rumble of thunder and unbreakable patience. There is nothing too humiliating, too absurd, or too ridiculous when it comes to the betterment of my school. Dunk tanks, I splash that. Pies to the face, I eat that. Crazy hair day? Well, I can't do that. But if you need a teacher to embarrass at an assembly, then I'm your guy. It is I that walks down the hall giving hugs and high fives, constantly reminding tiny humans to keep their shoes tied. I am one step ahead at all times. I can mold dreams or snap them like a number 2 pencil. But don't get it twisted. I am no hero. I will never be a part of the Marvel Universe, and trust me, you don't want to see all this in spandex anyway. But if you see me as a glorified babysitter, then pay me as one. $18 an hour, 6 hours a day, 23 kids, 181 days, $149,604. Math. Yeah, I teach that. And when my teachy sense gets to tingling, be warned. I'll transform, wipe that smile off my face, and turn into a dark storm. So don't test me. I'm more Jack Black than Hilary Swank or Michelle Pfeiffer. No savior complex here. I just want to teach. Be the bridge between school and home. But if worst comes to worst, I'll do what I can with what I have, and I'll do it alone. Close the door, create my own kingdom, where the world's two rough fingers take a backseat to the dreamers. I'll make them all believers, because this world doesn't guarantee smiles. So I collect them like tiny treasures, hold their missing teeth like a fistful of stars, throw them at the moon, and watch them shine. I am a teacher. I can stop time, whether it's boring one to death or lighting a bonfire in their mind. I teach kids how to fly, help them realize they can do things they never thought they could do. Take all their fears, their flaws, and mold them into something unforgettable, something beautiful.
What's up, Savages? Coach Cabrera here, and welcome to another episode of the Community Corner. And today, we actually have on my non-biological uncle, Mike Bertram, who I've known since I was I think 14 years old, who is a pillar in the spoken word poetry community, a longtime educator, community organizer. He does like a wealth of things, and we're going to cover that today. And he's also come out with his new book. This is the second book of the series, Said the Pen to the Paper. The first one was Said the Paper to the Pen, and it's a collection of poems written by himself and Rosa Kuna, right? Kuna?
Yes.
Rosa Kuna. And it's a collection of just kind of honestly how Big Mike teaches, his philosophy of education, and his approach to poetry in the classroom. So today we're going to examine all of those aspects about my friend, Mike Bertram. So Mike, welcome to the Community Corner. I can overlap.
Is that where you put in fake applause?
Yeah. Well, I've known you forever. I think you were probably one of the, no, not probably, you're one of the foundational male figures in my life. Made me want to be a teacher. It made me do half of the community organizing.
I mean, you want to be a teacher?
Yeah, you are definitely part of, you are definitely part of it.
Let's touch it, man.
I'm glad I'm able to touch you. So we first met at Port Africa, South Plainfield, correct?
Yeah.
That was the first time we met with Flo Mentals, who's also a Def Jam poet. Contextually, tell me, Big Mike, Port Africa, what is this, 2005?
2005?
Yeah, I think it's 2005.
I thought it might have been earlier.
2004, 2005, somewhere in that range, because I think I met you sophomore year of high school, somewhere at the end of sophomore.
And then we went to the bubble tea place.
Yes. Then you went to Fusion Tea. So Port Africa, tell me where you were, why the hell you were doing poetry
So
and in like an African art studio. Okay, that's Port Africa.
it was beautiful.
What it was really cool. But you, my big white friend,
Port
the Port Africa.
So Port Africa came about when me and Liquid Thoughts.
But who's like with
Will Thomas, she's another poet. You know, we met the guy who owns Port Africa, and he said he's got this nice spot, and you know, we went in there, checked it out, and we just started an open mic. You know, it was pretty much that easy.
Yeah, but why'd you want to? So like, yeah, contextually, why'd you want to start an open mic?
They didn't have a lot going on in, I guess, Central Jersey, so we wanted to build up that area. So we tried to, get posts to come out to that area, which it was popular for a good minute, you know, because there was a lot of stuff, Montclair, Newark, in that area. So we wanted to do something a little bit closer.
But you're third grade teachers. Like, I think what people need to understand is like, how'd you get into poetry? How'd you get into you're doing an open mic how old are you at that point? Like I was 14, 15. So like, how did this come about? Why'd you end up doing poetry at Port Africa on that day, organizing open mics with these guys?
Well, I didn't start doing poetry till I was about 30. I think I wrote my first poem. So I was under the guidance of two teachers, Mike Shevchek, he's a teacher in Irvington, and my mentor, Mariella Marco, who brought me from Irvington to South Plainfield. They kind of pushed me to learn more about poetry, to teach it in the classroom because it was so important. And my nephew, he wrote a lot of poems in third grade, so I wanted to encourage him to keep writing. So I started writing with him, and it just kind of built from there. And then, I started doing poetry in Montclair at Serengeti Plains.
What's Serengeti Plains?
It's actually another art store. It was another African art store. Yeah, I was always in touch with the African side. But it was another art store, and that's where I met Flo Mentals and Gemini and all the other deaf poets that we see, Rob Hilton. And then there was nothing down by where we live, in Rahway or South Plainfield. Central Jersey was a perfect spot. So we started something there. We started the slam. We took the slam team down to the Southern Fried Poetry Slam in Miami. So that was really the beginning.
What is that like? Like when you go to a poetry. So a lot of people don't know what the hell a poetry slam is, Mike. So I know we have a lot of history with this. But what is a poetry slam?
A poetry slam is like a verbal competition between teams or individuals, and the poems are scored based on an Olympic style score scale from 0 to 10. Hopefully you use decimal points so there's no tie, and the performer usually with the best poems. No, that's not true. You don't have to have the best poems. Sometimes you just have to have good performance.
Yeah.
You just have to have the crowd like you and give you scores based on your heartfelt poetry. If it's super sad, you get scored. If it's personal, you get scored. So it's kind of a contradiction. You do poetry for one thing to release your emotions.
Yeah.
And then you get that shit scored, and it makes you feel terrible.
Do you think so? Why do you do it? Do you think it has poetry?
I loved it. I thought it was fun. I grew up an athlete, so I like to play games.
Yeah.
So I thought it was a fun game.
Yeah, but you don't do, I wouldn't say you do serious.
Oh, no.
Well, you do serious poetry. Like, so contextually, well, first and foremost, I can curse in here because this is, so like one of your first poems I knew you from was like Cock Blocker about yourself. Yes. Little baby Devin. And that was like about being a father.
Yeah.
Which is a serious thing.
So here's the funny thing. I, just from watching on TV and movies, I always thought poetry had to be one way.
Yeah.
I thought it had to be serious. I thought it had to tackle political issues. And I thought it was one way because that's all I saw. and that's all I read. Nobody told me that I could go and say whatever the hell I wanted to and make it funny and sarcastic. So I saw that from Flo Mentals when he did a poem about taking a shit called Constipation. And then he did, a poem called Drama. He did one about his girlfriend taking his keys to his apartment. And I was like, oh shit, you can say whatever you want in poetry. So that's when I went home and I started writing about my son.
So how'd you end up? So like, what was the first like slam you went to? Like, how'd you end up at a slam? I went to a slam in high school because I went with a girl and I wanted to date this girl. So I went to a poetry reading and then I fell in love
Where
with
was that?
right. That was at high school. So that was like at Edison High. So like I wrote by myself most of the time. But I didn't really like tell people I wrote. And then they had like an open mic in the high school when Mr. V, like our teacher, was trying to set everything up and do the beginnings of it. And then I was like there and I kind of wrote something on the fly because I don't mind presenting in front of people. So yeah, and it was mostly kind of starting to perform was to pick up girls, because they really dug it. Too. Like, such most boys. Most boys write poetry.
Sometimes the writing part is the easiest. The performing part is the
Oh, I find that the hardest.
yeah.
The writing part I love doing. The performing, I agree with you. Like the slam side of it is not the same as uh, like getting your emotions out and all these things. I think.
Well, a lot of the academia poets, they don't really agree with slam poetry because you're scoring people's heartfelt confessions, so it kind of goes against what poetry is. But in the same vein, this aspect of poetry is what draws young people in, because young people really aren't attracted to academia poetry. But if you do a slam poem or you do something that's performed super well, they'll gravitate toward it.
Why is poetry? Why do you think it's important for kids to do poetry?
It's a self-esteem builder. It helps them grow as a person. It helps them, kind of see certain points of their life as they continue to grow. So you see from, being a teenager to being a young adult to being, as you get older. So it helps you grow. In the classroom, I use it a lot because, I use it for different reasons because little kids they want to do whatever your teacher wants them to do if your teacher is into it. So I do it to build their self-esteem, to help them read, to help them present in class, to help them with their reading fluency. So there's a lot of reasons why I do it in the classroom. But I think with teenagers, I think they want to express themselves, but sometimes they just don't know how. And there's only so many people who can rap and sing. Poetry is an outlet that I think everybody can do.
And you teach third grade.
Third grade.
Okay. How is it? So how do you teach poetry in the classroom? Third grade. I taught high school. So like, how do you approach it? And it's funny because when I subbed for you, I think once or twice, I taught the Red Wheelbarrow by William Carlos.
And they probably caught it right away.
Yeah. So kids are fun. It's different, but I want to hear your perspective about like teaching poetry to third grade. Do you like it? Most teachers hate teaching poetry.
I know.
It's
really sad.
High school teachers hate it.
It's really sad. So I like seeing poetry as a snapshot of what's going on right there in that life. And I tell them, I'm like, it doesn't have to be crazy long. It doesn't have to be deep. Don't think, just write. So I usually start with figurative language. To me, I have to teach them figurative language throughout the year. So the best way to do it is through poetry. And honestly, I use the poems that I wrote to help them inspire them to get something for them to write. Because if their teacher writes and they go, oh, my teacher did this, I want to do that too. So it's important that the teacher is also involved with what they're doing. The teacher has to enjoy what they're teaching.
So you write
That's
with
with
the kids?
anything.
You
I
write with the
wrote with the kids.
I write with the
Anytime,
kids.
anytime there's writing, if it's 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever, I write with them. Even if it's for 10 minutes and they have to write for 30 minutes, I write with them. And then I share with them and then they love to share. So it's a whole big thing.
Do you think? Do you? So do you teach to like a test? Because you're a tested subject. Or you're third grade.
Do I teach you a test?
Yeah.
No.
Why not?
You're not supposed to. You know,
And you're not supposed to?
no,
I don't know.
no,
I
then
feel
you
like
are.
in high school,
You are
I
supposed
feel like in high school, you're basically supposed to teach to the
You
test.
are.
That is
Well, here's a fun
implicit.
fact that I found out. The third grade test doesn't even count.
Oh, it doesn't count?
It doesn't
Then why
count.
do they do it?
I don't know.
Oh, is it
I
just to
guess they
check?
want to get them used to test taking.
Okay, it doesn't count. And what does it mean? Either way, I don't even know what it means if it counts or not. Like the high school, you don't even have to pass the test. HSPA used to have to pass the test, and then you keep taking it, or you do like this extra. It was like some extra thing, and it was really difficult to get you to do the extra thing. But now, like you don't really have to pass the test. You could do this portfolio class, and you don't know how to read really, and just like and then just pushing. You don't know. That's a lot of class. I don't know. But yeah, how do you feel about education today? You've been teaching how long now, Mike?
This is year 32.
What? You're 32?
32.
You've been teaching almost as long as I've been
I
alive?
started in 1994, so that would be 32, right? Yeah, about 32.
So how has it changed? Let's talk about like when you first started teaching. What's different?
Like, what do you mean by change?
Like, do you think the students are different? Do you think the students are actually different? You have like actually a generational view of students over a longer period. And people talk about this, right? They say like, oh, the kids are different. That's why school is this way. Or is it systemically? You know, like I saw the change of HSPA going into park testing. So that was actually a big change in how we organize or and structure our classes for high school. You know, that was a big shift, especially with the computers. So like, how do you feel like education's changed like, from a teacher's perspective?
The kids haven't changed. You know, you got to remember, I teach third grade, so I don't really deal with the older kids. The kids haven't changed. You know, 8-year-olds are amazing. 9-year-olds, 7-year-olds, very cool. Same way, except for the slang. Different slang comes in, but different fads, you know,
Yeah.
pop culture stuff. But you know, the kids are the same. It's just the curriculum always changes and the standards change, and that's probably the most frustrating part is a lot of the times the district doesn't know what we're doing. They just see this curriculum and then they buy all this new stuff where their money could go somewhere else to benefit other things. So it's I'm trying to think. The way I teach, I kind of do what I want to do
Yeah.
because I see the whole child. I don't look at like, oh, okay, you gave me the being a writer program. I have to do being a writer step by step by step. I'm like, I'm not doing that. I'm not scripting what I say to 8-year-old kids. That's not what I'm doing. I teach from the heart. Teaching is an art. You know, it's a performance.
I agree it's a performance.
Yeah.
I think that's where some people slip up sometimes that they're like, you're actually trying to get some of these topics, you're just trying to get them to see the wonder and beauty of knowledge and like and intaking knowledge and the pursuit of knowledge. You know, that's how I feel at least. You know?
Yeah. I mean, we write lesson plans I mean, I see teachers actually sit there and look at their lesson plans and hold them as they go along. Like, I'm like, you're just not gonna just teach, you know?
Do you feel like they know the topic? Is it a confidence issue, you think, in regards to like I can kind of talk about most books because I read.
No,
You know what I mean? Like, so I can just do it. I have a structural idea in my head of what a lesson looks like, and I can just hit it. Do you think it's like about confidence? I mean, you've been doing it 32 years. Is it a young teacher or a older teacher issue?
I think the the older teachers see it's like the two different sides of a coin, man. It's like the young teachers come in a lot of energy. They think it has to be one way. The older teachers are like, all right, you'll see with all your energy now, it'll drain you, you know? So I think the important thing is to still love the teaching aspect
Yeah.
of it and the children. You know, when you start to lose that, it's all downhill. But for new teachers, I think some of the issue is, you know, we're so AI and technology, um, you know, we use it so much that If the fucking electricity goes out, they don't know what to do. You know what I mean?
So that's like an area of like, do you know your craft? Do you know what, like, you know what I mean? Like, do you know your craft?
So one time we had electricity went out in the whole school.
Yeah.
It was done for the whole day. And the one young girl, maybe second year teacher, she comes running in. I don't know what to do. My projector won't work. So I handed her an expo marker and an eraser, and I said, "Go teach.
Write something on.
Go teach."
I I I was in a school. I'm not gonna even say the school. But moral of the story is, so I'm watching the supposed best teacher in the school. And I say supposed best teacher because they're doing this new initiative when I came into the school district of LAG, which is like giving kids choices of what they want to do and giving them like 30 assignments. The amount of prep work you would have to do for this, it was insane. And then this lady, I'm in the room and she plays an audio recording of herself on the projector reading the story that they're reading in the book in the class.
So what is she doing? Sitting in the back chilling?
Yeah, and just walks around and then I'll pause and then kind of like just talk about, and I'm just sitting here going, I've never played a recording of myself. I read it.
But that's the joy of being with kids. You actually do it with them.
Yeah, and then you stop, and then you naturally ask them, which it was just so strange, just so strange. But that's like these people that rely on this technology stuff unnecessarily, and I feel like most kids actually. So after the pandemic, I really stopped using the computer as much in the classroom. I actually pulled back. I went, oh, this is not helpful for the kids fully. How do you feel? Like, how far is your school integrated with tech use in the classroom?
I mean, every new program they give you has a complicated website to come with it and a million things on it. But um, how much do I use it? Vocabulary.
Yeah.
I love that because it relates everything to music. Like I'll find things like that.
Yeah, but I'm talking about like using. How often do you use Chromebooks in the classroom? So most school districts want you using it regularly. Using math regularly, not like they're not using a lot of paper pen and stuff like that and writing out.
Like 25 to 30%. I use the Chromebooks. I use it. I use it for like, so they learn how to type their poems and form their writing. I use it a lot for writing. I don't have them rewrite it, which is probably a bad teacher on my part. I just have them type it because I know when they get older, they're going to have to learn how to type and they're going to have to learn how to type it and use the computer for that. So that's probably bad teacher.
Are they pushing you for AI in the classroom?
No, not yet. Not yet. But AI is awesome. It does your lesson plans. You can be like, type me a lesson this.
Yeah.
And then it goes in and
but
put it right in my lesson book.
Yeah, but you just said like, so some of the younger teachers don't actually know how to do their craft. Do you think actually the annoyance of both of us, because I got my degree pre-AI, so that means we actually earned it. So unlike some people, I'm just saying, I actually read most of these books and wrote about them and studied them deeply. So a lot of the kids, like I have one of my coaches, she's like, they're telling them all to write their lesson plans like via AI. Do you think that's a problem?
For lesson plans?
Yeah. For new teachers.
No, I think you have to take something off the new teacher's plate.
Yeah.
I mean, there's enough stuff that we have to do. We have to make things easier for us a little bit. But just because you write an AI lesson plan doesn't mean you're doing that with the class. You have to know how to teach. You have to know your subject. You have to enjoy what you're teaching too.
Yeah.
And that's important.
So your family was like deeply involved. The kids are growing up. Like, how was that?
That was just one.
Yeah, everybody was there. I'm saying, like, I literally grew up with you. Everybody was there. Michael, like, yeah. How was that like doing traveling? You went to Southern Fried. You were doing it because that wasn't the first time. Like,
Well,
Were you
honestly,
trying to do this professionally?
I never
That
thought,
when
I never thought that I would do anything with it. I don't know who saw me, and I don't know how it came about where people wanted me to go to their schools and to colleges. We went down to this place called Southern Fried, which is where all of the it's like all the Southern poets are down there, and we're just having a good time poetry slamming, and it's a competition to see, which regional team is the best. And we just went down there on a whim. Me and Liquid Thoughts and Derek Slack and another guy named Crosswords. We just went because I saw it somewhere, and we just went there to see what it was like. And it was like, whoo, it was amazing
yeah.
because you see other poets from other places writing about different things, and it was a blast. So that that's where I started traveling for Southern Fried Poetry Slam. As far as going into colleges, it was the people that I looked up to when I first got there, like, Flo and Gemini, and they kind of brought me with them to their college
Yeah.
gigs. So it kind of went from there. And when I made the New Eurekan Slam team in 2005, I was able to, travel a bit and do some poetry in colleges. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know who saw me.
And why were you doing all these like youth open mics? You put a lot of energy into it. Did the Slam Global nonprofit at the beginning, but these are all like big endeavors. Why were you doing this like youth poetry thing? Why focus on like the youth? Because it wasn't just like you doing it. I used to go with you, so Big Mike is being very modest, which is a pain in the ass right now, because like this man used to take me and like a bunch of teenagers to the city to go do, and we would meet up there to go do poetry events in in Alphabet City at the New Eurekan Poets Cafe, uh in these legendary like spaces with like that these beatnik writers used to perform at. Like why the hell did you take us there? Like what was the purpose? What's the goal? Like why was your mission?
To experience
What was
life.
the mission?
My mission was just for you guys to experience, life. You guys were writing, you guys were sharing your stuff. Like this is where it can bring you. It can bring you to the world famous New Eureka. It can get you to meet, Miguel Algarin, who's come on, legendary. It can.
But why is that important to you? Why is that important?
So
why
it
why
was
write this book, Big Mike?
I only started because of my nephew.
Yes.
So when I started working with teenagers, I really enjoyed it. And I was always teaching with kids. And Nick, I never thought of writing a book ever. So I make these little books with my kids. I don't know if you.
Yeah, the chat
Right,
books.
the little chat books.
Yeah.
And all the kids, I put all of their poems from class in it. I give each one a book, and they're all like, "Oh, look at our poem! It's in a book." Yada yada. So I always had my poem in there, and I never thought I was making a book. Never thought of doing this book until a little girl walked up to me. I was making her own book because she had like a million poems, and she's like, "Mr. B, thank you for making my book, but you have a lot of poems too. Why don't you make a book?" So I was like, okay. So I was like, good point. Maybe I'll start making a book. So that's where this book came from, just from her kind of like saying, you have a lot of poems. Why don't you make a book? So she inspired me to make a book. And that's where I started writing. I did it in class just because if you write, the kids write.
Yeah.
They follow your lead. That's why teachers have a hard time teaching writing. They don't write with their kids. They don't share their personal life. Everything is robotic. They read it from a script. So you have to be human with your children.
Yeah.
First you have to relate, and then you educate. If you don't relate, it's going to be hard to educate.
I think so it's like the classroom management part. Like so, and part of classroom management is relating to the kids. And that doesn't mean like being best friends with the kids, but being a positive mentor that they find approachable and can listen to and respect. So who is this book for? Like, so your first book is a lot of poems, right? And just poems from the kids, and then this is a bit of a different approach, right? So what is the change in this? Like what did we end up doing here in this book? What's the purpose of this one? Who is this?
So the first book is my poems for teachers and kids. I wanted to write so teachers could enjoy it, and I wanted to teachers or adults, anybody, and I wanted to write it so kids would enjoy it.
Okay.
So I have a combination of kind of teaching poems and kid poems and a mixture. Um, the second book said the pen to the paper. I have a girl in my class named Rosa Cuna. She's She's 8 years old, and she walked in at the beginning of the year. She had my book, and she's like, "I wanna make a book just like you made a book, just like the other girl did." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, okay." And then as she started writing, I was like, "Oh, she's really good." So, I took the lessons that we did that made her poetry come out, and I took the poems that I have, and I explained, like, what the lesson was and the figurative language tool or whatever we were using, and then I did my poem, and then I did her poem, and then because I wanted kids to write, I had journal pages.
Yeah.
So I feel like teachers can use it with the little lesson idea, the prompt that I give them. Kids can read it and write their poem on the empty pages, and it's for everybody.
So the kids can actually write in this book. So you can use
Yeah,
it
it's
like
a
a
kid.
class set
Sure.
as a journal with poems. And that's what I will say. I was getting you to say it, so I don't have to say. But I really actually love that change in the book because from a teacher perspective and anyone else thinking of like getting this for the kids or like if you homeschool, things like that,
Yeah.
like this is it. Yes, get it. On Amazon.
It's
You can
on
purchase
Amazon
this
and
book.
Barnes and Noble.
And Barnes and Noble. It's going to look beautiful on the show. But what's really nice about this, and the biggest thing I discuss with parents at the high school level when they talk to me about like, oh, my kid is terrible at reading, like they're having issues. And I'm like, the biggest thing is like, your kid needs to read more. You need to, like, at a young age, model reading in front of them, like, read with your kid. These little mini lessons are honestly really great for you to do with your kid and easy. They're not hard and they're fun and they're silly and get you to be silly because it's not a bad thing to do, parents. And as for a teacher, if you're having difficulty presenting poetry in the classroom, which even on the high school level, they have an issue with. Because it's difficult. It's difficult. Like, how do you get kids in intrigued? I use a lot of music. Music is like honestly, Eminem, Tupac, like all these people write at an actually really high level, and you can dissect and then go, well, we spoke kind of like the Langston Hughes. Let's go take a look at it.
Yeah, connect.
Let's take a look at these and that's kind of how you unlock them caring about poetry, honestly. And I think that's what I didn't realize when I saw you as a young man, organizing these events.
Young man.
I mean, I
I'm
was young,
36 years old, bro.
yeah, but I'm 36 now. I'm 36 now, and I didn't really understand poetry could be like that.
I think you have to just watch people and figure it out. Like I didn't either.
Yeah, but it has to be introduced to you.
It has to be
And
introduced.
if people don't introduce poetry, at this
So
class,
I mean,
like,
with the lessons I have in there, I thought it was important. Like you can have your own poetry book. Like this poetry book is cool. It's all my poems. But if you want to make a connection, so I'm putting lessons in there for kids from from kindergarten to whatever, 8th grade probably. So they can use that book. But they can see mine and go, "Oh, an adult wrote this." But if you see an 8-year-old girl who wrote this poem and you're like, "Yeah, she wrote this poem," it makes you think like, "Okay, I could do this too." You know? If she could do it, I could do it. And then you just use the prompts to do that.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, and believe me, this little girl is amazing. She's very emotional, and I think that writing helps her get all her emotions out because she's got a lot going on in there, and she's just she was so excited I did her stuff. But she wrote, I would say last year she had to write at least 60 poems.
60 poems.
Yeah, and they weren't bad. They weren't bad.
Yeah,
So she actually could have did a whole book. And I made her a little chapbook of her stuff, and she went around school just flipping it off and giving it to everybody. And I said, okay, I said I'm gonna sit down this summer and I'm gonna make a book and I'm going to use your poems in my poems. And she's like, oh, great. She didn't know. But the mother, she's very touched. And she got her book now.
Awesome. Awesome. So she knows now this is going to be on like Barnes and Noble shelves?
She knows. She'll find out. I invited her to your trunk or treat to sign some
Okay,
book.
awesome. Big Mike is going to be the MC at the trunk or treat. And he will most likely do poetry. Oh, dude, you're doing poetry.
Nobody's going to listen, Nick. It's trunk or treat.
They're going to listen, bro.
No,
You got to do some Halloween, some spooky poetry. But I wanted to thank you for coming on. And I don't think people really understand how influential you are in a lot of young people's lives. And again, I stress his modesty because the amount of like free open mics and poetry events and like big events at the Forum Theater in Metuchen. If you and this is the frustrating part, like I know all of this contextually. He set up huge poetry events in the Forum Theater with teenagers. Particularly a lot of people. 200 people. Currently, you do work with ACP Arts. What is ACP Arts? What the hell are you doing in Rahway? What is going on?
So again, we have an open mic every third Saturday at Malau Cafe across the street from the train station in Rahway. And we host the New Jeru Poetry Slam for Tachiko and the Southern Fried Poetry. It's hosted by probably one of the best spoken word artists in the world today, Roddy. And we go there every Thursday. It's free. I'm a big believer in what you do for these kids or for the adults. If it's an open mic, it's free. I'm not trying to make money off of any of this stuff. I don't think that's the reason why, we should be doing the art. If you get paid, if you're lucky to get a college gig or something like that, that's cool. But I don't believe anybody should pay to go to an open mic and read. So we do a free open mic, Malau Cafe. All we ask is you buy some freaking ice cream or a coffee. And it's great. It's a really good time. I want to do youth poetry in Rahway, but it's been difficult to find kids now because I don't have any kids in school anymore.
Yes.
So it's harder for me to get kids. And we used to do an open mic for teenagers in Rahway at Poetry at the Pit, and it was great. We gave free chicken, and they could come and hang out, and it was awesome. But I had kids in school, so that all of their friends would come, and it would fill up. I don't have that anymore. I don't have that access. So now, like when kids came, it was like, oh, I'm just here for extra credit, and they would sit and not try to read it. So they did it for the wrong reasons. But I do want to get back into doing it. I have to reach out to some people in the schools because it's important that young people have a place to have their voice heard, and that's really what it's all about. I just want kids to be heard. I want them to build their self-esteem. I want them to, enjoy things. If your story's sad, get it out there. If you want to be silly, get it out there. Just use your voice, because if you pent it up, then a lot of anger starts. Then look at the world today.
I think people need to express themselves openly a little bit more, and
a little bit more.
People need to have,
freely.
Freely. People need to have a little grace and just shut up and relax about other people's ideas, things, and just go, okay, you do you.
Yeah, and I mean, to be honest, with my kids in third grade, what did Maya Angelou say? They remember how you make them feel.
Yeah.
It's not what they learn or what you teach, how you make them feel. And I want my kids to feel good about coming to school, because then they'll learn.
Yes.
I want them to dream, and I want to push their dreams to make them, you can do whatever you want to do if you really put your mind to it. I mean, it's not going to magically happen. I automatically tell anybody who wants to tell me what they want to do. You want to be a pro wrestler, you want to be an actor, you want to be a film person. It's not just going to fall out of the sky. You have to work toward what you want to do. Yeah. So, dream, do it, work at it. That's why when this little girl said, I want to write a book, that was her dream, to write a book. She worked at it. Who am I not to help her make her dream come true? You know, I helped her. I'm patting myself on the back now. I think you feel
Well, yeah, because and I just want, again, you've done, I think, hundreds of open mics that you've organized with people and with me to really honestly help people.
Yeah, I gotta be honest. Fusion Tea was that was probably the most fun I had.
That was a wild time. So like, and we would do an open mic once a month, at a bubble tea place in Edison, and we would pack this, like literally people would be standing outside the door, and these are all teenagers looking to go do actual like poetry and perform and sing. And then
I was always happy. I was always happy when kids showed up to my open mic, if it was 5 or 50.
Yeah,
because it keeps them out of trouble.
Yeah.
You know, it keeps you away from being swayed to do anything negative. So if you're sitting here listening to poetry, you're out of trouble for that day.
Yes. Thank you, Mike, for coming
we
today.
still have stuff to do. What about
don't tell people about my
fatherhood?
cheat sheet.
Def Jam, we didn't talk about that. We didn't talk about.
We did talk about Def Jam. I was trying to get you to give me stories, Mike,
about
Def Jam and wild stuff that happened.
Wild
right
stuff
now, just so you know, we're in the UFC gym in North Brunswick. So now the music is turned on. So if you hear it, but they're playing good music.
when I did Def Poetry,
yeah,
I was walking and
you're on HBO, Mike.
And people were like, Fat Joe, because they saw me from the back. And I was like, no, just,
you're not Fat Joe.
Just Big Mike. Jill Scott.
Yeah.
She loved my poetry. She rubbed my belly.
Do it. Like, again, you're on HBO.
Yeah.
Come on.
So I guess my HBO story is, if you look at the show I was on, DMX went first and then I went.
Yeah.
But when they taped it, I went first.
And then
DMX went. So that whole show, it was pretty fucking boring.
Yeah.
And the host kept coming back like, yo, these people, they want to explode and have something to feel good about. So I was like, bet, I got you.
Yeah, there we go.
So I went and I did Big Mike for President first, and then I did my sexy poem, and freaking place went bananas. And then DMX went, and they went bananas for him. Right?
Perfect.
Right.
Yeah, you're a high energy.
But while I'm sitting there, I'm in the area before I go out, and DMX is right here, and I'm sitting there, I'm pacing. I'm like, oh man, I don't know. I don't know how you do this in front of 50,000 people. He's like, I'm nervous every time, not me. I was like, oh shit, he really talks like that. I was like, I wasn't expecting him to. I thought it was like, yeah, I was like, I'm nervous every time. You know what I mean?
That's hilarious. There's a video out there of DMX discovering the internet, which is amazing. Because he apparently didn't use computers really. He still wrote in notebooks and then just would give things to people. So this man, he was on like 98 or like.
It was cool, man. He was very cool. He was back there with us the whole time. He was very cool.
DMX is great.
But I didn't, how you don't think it's real?
Yeah, he didn't meet DMX.
He really talked like that.
He thought it was a caricature.
Totally wasn't expecting. He was barking at me. But Def Poetry brought me to some colleges and stuff. Steve Donaldson got me on it. I tried to get on the year before, but my poetry wasn't there yet. It wasn't strong enough.
Yeah.
So, when I wrote that sexy poem with me being a sexy MFer, that totally got me to a different level.
Yeah, I think at that, dude, your performances were insane. People would be cheering. And like literally reading your poems verbatim in a bar in the middle of New York. Like, dude, I don't think you can contextually understand how surreal that is. It's like,
yeah, it was, poetry's fucking sad, man. People make it really sad.
Yeah, it's really sad.
So I'm like, why do I want to make this sad?
Yeah.
There's enough sad stuff going on. Let's make it funny and make it think. So that's where I came following Flow Mental's footsteps. Let's enjoy it. Let's laugh. Yeah, the world is sad enough, man.
I agree. The world is sad
The
enough.
world is sad enough.
So let's make it less sad. And Mike, thank you for
Hold on, wait.
What?
Words. I don't know what that means. Words and power. Did we do that one?
No, I think we covered words and power. We were
Words and
talking
power.
about children.
Traveling, Port Africa's
Mike's reading my note sheet.
comedy, education, comedy. What the hell is that?
Yeah, we talked about you doing comedic poetry. Talked about poetry's role in the classroom. I did bring up your cock blocker poem because I was going for fatherhood and mentorship.
Yeah.
And that is where contextually I was trying to bring the threads.
Probably
So this is a little inside baseball, okay? When we're interviewing and how we try to weave through it. But I wanted to give you a final thank you, Mike. Thank you for coming today. Everybody should purchase Big Mike's book, Said the Pen to the Paper, Lessons and Poems from the Beehive. You can find it at Barnes & Noble, and you can find it on Amazon. It is well worth a read. And if you want to book Mike for any gigs or anything like that, where can they find you online? That is a really easy and clear website.
Really easy. You have to put the www in though, because if you don't, they'll bring you to somebody else's site.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know why.
That's so strange.
That's really weird.
The internet.
Or
Sometimes
on
it's
Instagram at Mr.B.Poetry.
okay. Awesome.
Facebook, I won't add you.
You don't want to have to find you.
You can find me, but I won't add you.
You can follow.
Follow
But
me
he's
on-
not going to add you as a
I'm
friend.
not
You
gonna
ain't
add you
his
as a
friend.
I'm not going to add you as a friend. This is hard enough for me to do. I don't like talking about myself. So
I know you don't like talking about yourself, but that's why I wanted to make you
yeah,
uncomfortable.
this probably isn't the best episode you're going to do.
I think it's a great episode. Again, this is like a father to me. You know, you are like a father to me. So thank you, Mike. I think you're a great person. I think you're a great leader of the community and a great representative and person.
Capital U in community.
Capital U in community. We got to keep the unity in community.
Perfect ending.
Yeah. We're going to end like that.